I'm Sophia and welcome to the Friendly Vet, where the premise of this channel is if you've got a friend that's a vet, you can just ask them any questions that you might have about your pet's health. So let's get started with today's video, which is going to be talking about this new study that's come out recently. A lot of people are talking about this because some of the results have been a little bit controversial. So it was a study where they took data from all different dogs that were registered with a certain group of vets between 2016 and 2020, and then divided them by different breeds, and then worked out what age each of them passed away, and then worked out the average life expectancy of different breeds. And the reason why this study has been a little bit controversial is because all of the brachycephalic or short-faced dogs had way shorter life expectancies than other breeds, which a lot of people have been quite defensive about that own those breeds, and a lot of people on the other side have been very critical of. A lot of people don't think that these breeds are very healthy or that they should exist, etc. And this has just been further backing towards that argument. So we're going to find out today whether this information is really true, and how much we need to read into this. So the most controversial number that came out of this study was the life expectancy of a French Bulldog, which came out as only 4.5 years, which is not very long at all, compared to Jack Russell, which came out on top at 12 years old, which is kind of more what you'd expect from an average dog. I would say 10 to 12 years for an average dog, just anecdotally, and there's no reason really why French Bulldogs shouldn't also get to that age. So if you've got a French Bulldog right now, they're 3 or 4 years old, I don't think you need to worry that they're about to keel over and die out of nowhere. But let's really look into this a little bit more and find out what the facts are and what is actually the life expectancy of a French Bulldog. So we had the English Bulldog, the American Bulldog and the Pug, which all came back as around 7 years for the average life expectancy, which again is not really great. So what are the reasons why this study came out like this? One of the reasons could be that the brachycephalic dogs in this study had a way lower sample size than a lot of the other dogs. For example, all of the top 4 dogs, which were Jack Russell, Labrador, etc., all had around 1,000 entrants in the study, which is a large sample size, compared to the brachycephalic dogs, which had a lot less, French Bulldogs having the least at around 140. Which you can see there's a massive discrepancy there, and that is going to come into why there was a big difference in the results and the accuracy of the results. If you've got more dogs in the study, then obviously you've got more range of answers, and if you've only got a small sample size, say 2 French Bulldogs out of that sample size died when they were 1 day old, that's really going to affect the results compared to if 2 out of 1,000 Jack Russell Terriers died at 1 day old. It's not going to make as much of a difference. So that's one factor why this number came out so low. So another reason why we might have come out with this result is that a lot of these French Bulldogs were younger than a lot of the other dogs in the study. So French Bulldogs were only just coming into popularity towards the back end of this study. I think around 2012 for me is when it all sort of kicked off and we started to see French Bulldogs all over the place. Before that you didn't really see any French Bulldogs around. So if you think about that, between 2012 and 2020, there's not really time for the French Bulldogs to have reached 10 or 12 years old to reach their natural life expectancy during the period of this study. So that is one reason why as well you might have a lot of dogs on there that have died earlier because all the other ones that were going to reach their normal life expectancy didn't die yet. So that is also going to affect the results. It would be interesting to see if we looked at the raw data from this study, how many French Bulldogs died at each age, because they don't actually provide that in the full study, which you can read for free online if you're interested, and I'll link that in the description. So one thing I do have to say, a reason why there might be a lot of French Bulldogs dying young is that a lot of problems from bad breeding come out during the first few years of life. And with French Bulldogs reaching that crazy popularity that they did back in 2012, 2015, etc., a lot of people were just churning them out, so to say, just breeding them like crazy, not worrying about the health of the dog, not worrying about waiting a few years for them to be fully mature, etc. So we've ended up with a population of French Bulldogs that do suffer a lot with the breathing, with allergies, with their backs. I think probably with these dogs, it is either that the breathing is so bad that it's not really compatible with them having a good quality of life, and they might have been put to sleep below 2 years old for that reason, unfortunately. And another thing that we do see is that ones that have a really weak back, they will have a spinal problem causing them to lose feeling and movement in the back legs around 2 years old. Anecdotally, is a common age for that to happen, and a lot of times the owners either can't or don't want to put the dog through an operation, or the operation may not be successful, or they may have a relapse after the operation, causing them to be put to sleep because of that reason. So unfortunately, there is also an element of the health of the breed which has not been looked after, that some French Bulldogs might have to be put to sleep at a really young age. Another thing that we can look at here on this study is that they didn't only do the average age that a dog died, they also did another statistic, which was what age did they reach a maximum life expectancy of 1.5 years, which I know that sounds kind of confusing, but basically it's kind of like, at what age do you expect the dog to be kind of passing away pretty soon? And what we see for a lot of the breeds that had a long life expectancy, such as the Jack Russell, their life expectancy and their age at which the life expectancy was less than 1.5 years sort of correlated a lot better. So for the Jack Russell, their average life expectancy was 12, and the average age at which the life expectancy was less than 1.5 years old was actually 14, so a lot of them were living older than that. When it comes to the French Bulldog, which is quite interesting, the average life expectancy was 4.5 years, but the age at which the life expectancy was less than a year and a half was 10 years old. So that also makes me think that a lot of these dogs have been put to sleep at a young age for medical reasons, and if they make it past kind of 2 or 3 years old without having any of those unfortunate events happening to them, then they're probably going to have a relatively normal life expectancy for a dog. So to conclude this video, is the life expectancy of a French Bulldog 4.5 years? No, I don't believe it is. I think it would be really interesting to do this study again now, over the next, say, 20 years, and see, now that we've got a lot of more French Bulldogs in the population, what the results are coming out as. Are they going to come out maybe more on par with other breeds? And if they're not, then, you know, you can really look at what age they're dying. It would be good to know what they died of, etc., and that can really help people that are breeding or who are looking at buying a French Bulldog, to make sure that the puppies that are being born into the next generation are not suffering from those same problems. So let me know below what age your dog lived to, especially if you had a French Bulldog. It'd be really interesting to know. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please subscribe to the channel or give it a like, and I'll see you next time.